Welcome back to Rock Your Best Vocals. Jim here, professional singer for over 30 years, professional vocal coach for over 20 years. Today we're going to be listening to Chris Cornell's isolated vocals of Just Like Suic. I don't know if I could say that word these days. We're going to dive into this because it's very important. The tone of his voice is silky smooth. How can we try to achieve that tone? I've done other videos about how to sing like Chris Cornell, and I've done other videos on how to sing like other people. The most important thing we can ever do, I think, as vocalists is listen to the tone of other singers. And then when we try to emulate the tone, we really start to learn a lot about our own voice. So that's why I like to do these, is because when we try to emulate someone else, we discover new things about our own voice by just trying to manipulate it to sound a little different. We're going to do a deep dive into the tone and the techniques that he's using to get those tones.
Heard it from another room, eyes were waking up just to fall asleep. Love's like suicide.
So if you listen to that breath, this is one thing that I had to get over in my career, is to not be afraid of the breath. I used to be so afraid of spilling breath and doing damage to my vocal folds because I started off singing very breathy. And he's not singing breathy, but you can hear the breath guiding the voice. Let's just go back to the beginning of this.
Love's like suicide.
You hear that? Love's like suicide. What I'm doing is allowing that breath. He's doing a few other things there that's very important. And we'll get into that in a little bit.
Days out in a garden bed with a broken neck.
Broken neck. The buzz. It's like, it's so prevalent listening to this.
Lace my broken gift, just like suicide.
It kind of goes into this really lighter place up on the top of that.
Just like suicide.
Suicide. Kind of goes a little bit nasal flow. Suicide.
In my last ditch was my last breath.
You listen to that brightness in those parts. The brightness that he gets in his voice. And I'll get into that in a second, how he's getting that.
In my last day.
It's very bright, isn't it? But you think of his voice, you think of like Chris Cornell, this kind of deep, warm, resonant. But that, my last ditch, the shape of his pharyngeal space, all of this with his vocal track, it's very open. If you take like a deep breath, like a gasping breath, you feel how everything kind of opens. And Chris just had that kind of, my last ditch. He had that ability. I don't know if it was just natural. Like sometimes people that sing naturally just have good shaping of their vocal tract. Anyway, whereas others like myself have to really kind of listen and go, oh, what do I have to do to get that sort of sound, that brightness? Anyway, let's move on.
Lent to finish her. Finish her.
Ooh, that her. I used to think when I would hear these songs, with all the music and everything like that, before people were doing these isolated vocal tracks, or maybe these existed and I just never listened to them close enough. But I would hear that her and be kind of more finish her, thinking it's like this. It's this rock song, so it's got to have this power and this depth and girth. Finisher! And that's very closed off, and it's not very resonant. But if I take this where I kind of really open position, there's this, the buzz. Once you start to understand this and discover this in your own voice, the resonance, your voice just takes on this whole kind of new world, right? With that resonance, once you find the resonance in your voice, it's just like you would love to hear your own voice. Like a lot of people don't like their own voice, but once you start to find that resonance in your own voice. It's like you find your own voice. It's amazing.
She lived like a mother, how she'd fly so sweetly.
All that air. She lived like a martyr, how she flies so sweetly. And all the air, it's legato. Like just keep the vocal folds vibrating. Keep them vibrating through the phrase.
She lived like a mother, but she died just like suicide.
Now, I used to find that like hard to hold on to a note like that because I'd be pushing and forcing, just like suicide. It's all closed down, and it's really hard to keep the vocal folds vibrating when you're closing off the airflow. But if you let the airflow vibrate the vocal folds, just let them carry. Like I call this like the wind in the sails. You get the wind in the sail of the boat, and you could just like it just goes. You have to get the wind in the sail properly against the vocal folds, get them vibrating at a nice buzz before you really lean into that.
A bit down on the bullet, and I had a taste so sour, had to think of something sweet.
Listen to that. So he goes into it like he's amping it up, just that next level here, right? There's a little bit more pharyngeal constriction. He's got this buzz, but he's also got some depth. He's got an open throat down here. I bit down on the bullet now. So there's the combination of the two, the really wide open throat and some pharyngeal constriction, and then the openness. I bit down on the bullet now. So everything flowing there, right? The air's flowing, keeping it moving.
Had a taste so sour, had to think of something sweet.
There's a bit of compression happening in that. Had to think of something sweet. Think of... there's this upward kind of movement. I think of something sweet. Kind of a bit more force, but not stopping the breath here. Gotta have that buzz still in there.
Love's like suicide.
I love the way that kind of just goes down. But like it's a doubled vocal, but he just comes down on both of them at the same time. Now one cut off before the other, but listen to how bright that is.
Love's like suicide.
It's very bright. Love's like suicide. We listen to that, and it's all the hard rock with all the guitars and everything like that. And we can think that he's pushing, love's like suicide. It's not that at all. It's very clean, isn't it? Love's like suicide. And that's a great thing about these isolated vocals is we really hear, the nuances and the cleanliness of the vocals. Like sometimes we think it's just a lot of love's like suicide. And a lot of people sing like I used to sing like that. You hear this like rock song, you want to make it all rocked out, like put some balls into it. Love's like suicide. But that doesn't call for that. He's not singing like that.
And safe outside my gilded cage with an ounce of pain.
You can hear that next level of volume in there. Let's go back to that.
And safe outside my
gilded cage. You can hear at the beginning that this kind of setup of the compression coming, so he can launch right into that. Safe outside my gilded cage.
Gilded cage with an ounce of pain.
With an ounce of pain. Pain. That's a little bit too much. With an ounce of pain. A little bit closer, but it's not a lot, right? It's just a touch.
I wield a tongue of rage.
I will that tongue of rage. Going a little bit too heavy. See, it's hard habits. Hard habits are bad to break. Putting too much distortion in something when it doesn't really need it.
I wield a tongue of rage.
I will that tongue of rage. It's a little bit. I try to keep that brightness.
Just like suicide.
Fell down at a little bit different times there, but still that brightness. Just like suicide.
With eyes of blood and bitter blow.
It's these put a little bit of distortion in there, but listen to how bright that is.
With eyes of blood.
With eyes of blood. Still bright right through that. There's a bit more support going on. I have to keep that brightness. There's a squeak. A little bit of this kind of, that's the, with eyes of blood. Eyes of blood.
And bitter blow.
A little bit of glottal. And bitter blow. Bit too much. Bit. I start off like kind of trying to find the resonance first. And bitter blow. And bitter blow. There's a little bit kind of, but the brightness is key in that. It's very common to try and push in and push too much distortion in there without holding on to that. And bitter blow. That's the basis, that brightness. And bitter blow. If you start from that light place, and bitter blow. And bitter blow. You can build into that. I mean, I know a lot of people will say you can't build into that, but if you don't have the resonance, like it's not going to work. Got to have that resonance, and the resonance will guide you in the right direction with what to do with the rest of your body. Let's move on.
How I feel for you.
It's that there's a bit more distortion in that. How I feel for you. If you have the tone down, or close to it, you can find the way to get that distortion in there. It's so hard to come from the other way if you're pushing. Like I can't even, if I was pushing like from here, how I feel for you. I mean, there's all this tension and pressure. It's just a lot harder to sing like that than in the right way, in a light way. From this light, how I feel for you. How I feel for you. That is so much easier. So little effort. Like I can sing like that all day, every day. It's just so easy. It's so light. Let's move on.
For you, I feel for you.
That brightness at the beginning of that.
I feel for you. She lived like a mother, how she'd fly so sweetly.
There's a nice doubling on that, but listen to how bright that is.
She lived like a mother, how she'd fly so sweetly.
So this brightness, this how she lived like a mother, how she flies so sweetly. I'm really trying to think of like this is the vocal folds are here. That's where the sound comes from. I'm not pushing things up in my face or trying to pushing got me nowhere. So once I started to realize how to keep it light, from that kind of place. She lived like a model, how she flies so sweetly. It's just very easy to sing like that, even though it's like it's fairly high. Oh, she lived like a model, how she flies so sweetly. Once you let that breath guide the voice, everything else just comes into place. Everything just falls right into place.
She lived like a mother, but she died just like suicide.
So there's a bit more compression on that. There's a little bit more compression in there, but can't come from down here. She lived like a mother. You can hear how, like, if I press down here, there's very little resonance in that. And it's really hard to do, to sing like that. There's a lot of pressure going on up in there. It doesn't feel comfortable to sing like that.
And my last ditch was my last break.
Listen to how bright that is.
And my last ditch.
And my last ditch. All that's under there. Our last ditch was my last break. This flow of air just has to guide the vocal folds.
Was my last break. Left to finish her. Finish her.
Listen to that brightness in there. Finish her.
I feel for you.
There's a little bit of distortion now. I feel for you. Trying to back off that because it started off a little bit too much.
I feel you.
I feel you.
She lived like a mother house, it flies so sweetly.
So there's a little bit more distortion even on that. If you add a little bit more compression in there, you get a nice distortion on there. Not down in here, like up above your vocal folds. Kind of, you think of like that. That's kind of around where he's doing that.
So sweetly. She lived like a mother, but she died just like suicide.
Just when you hear that power on that died. So I'm not trying to, I can't do that. Down, pushing it down here, like you're lifting something heavy. It's too, like you can hear, there's like no resonance in that. And plus, it was very strained. That'll strain your voice, and you'll start to, you can hear my voice, even just from that, like I was a little bit tired from that, just because there's just compression in the wrong area.
Just like suicide.
Ooh, at the end, even backed off the air, and it kind of cracked a little bit. Just like suicide. You can just backing off the air, just kind of go. And you'll find that you'll get a bit of vocal fry and maybe even a little bit of crack or something if you're backing off. As you're letting the air go through, the air guides the voice, but once you back off that air, there's not enough air to keep them vibrating, so they're going to stop or it's going to crack or something like that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Chris Cornell. This particular song is amazing. It's important to me. I had a friend that passed away on the same day 2 years later. Unfortunately, he took his own life. So, Andrew, man, I love you, brother. Andrew's a big Chris Cornell fan. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for watching Rock Your Best Vocals, where your best keeps getting better. See you on the next one.